Well, here we go again. A pair of ISIS-trained extremists have been charged with hurling an IED near New York Mayor Zoran Mamdani's residence during an anti-Islam protest. The pair allegedly packed the homemade bomb with Mother of Satan, a volatile explosive favoured by international terrorists. Mamdani was inside at the time, but is okay. Joining me now is Emmy Award-winning journalist Stella Escobedo. Stella, a pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you very much for joining me. In the New York Post, they're reporting that the 18 and 19-year-olds were both self-radicalised in recent years and travelled to Turkey and other terror training hotspots. My first instinct was, well, here we go. This is Mamdani's New York City.
Yeah. Here we go. First of all, thank you so much for having me on, Danica. I actually posted this to my social media, to my X account, like kudos to New York Post, because the mainstream media is not reporting that they were, ISIS inspired. These two guys, their parents, one of them is from Turkey, the other one is from Afghanistan. And you saw what happened. It's been a mess the last couple of days in New York City. First, we see Mamdani's wife, who's liking a bunch of posts of October 7th, celebrating, the massacre, the rape, the stealing of people. Olivia Reingold, who works for the Free Press, actually said that she discovered like 70 plus posts. Mamdani comes out and then says, well, she's just a civilian. She has nothing to do with my administration. Oh, but isn't she the first lady of New York City? Okay, then we have these radicals who hurled basically a dirty bomb at peaceful protesters. It doesn't matter what you think about these protesters because they're making them seem like, alt-right, Jake Lang, whatever you think about them. In the United States of America, Danica, you are allowed to protest. You are allowed to chant, globalize the intifada, which we're actually seeing now. But what you are not allowed to do is kill people. And that IED could have hurt a lot of people. And then, I don't know if you saw this, Mamdani came out. He didn't mention anything about these two Muslim men. And one of them who threw the bomb was shouting Allah Akbar, okay? And he basically blamed white people, white supremacy.
Yeah, that seems to be the left's excuse now, that they love to blame white supremacy for any issue pertaining to radical Islam. And it's because, of course, they like to protect certain people in the community, and yet it's the West that suffers. And I want to ask you about those posts by Zoran Mamdani's wife. This is Rama Duwaji. This is an absolute disgrace. So she's gone, as you said, like celebratory Instagram posts on the day of Hamas's October 7 attack. And I'll take our viewers through them. The posts included images allegedly taken from live streamed footage of the attack showing a gleeful group riding on what appeared to be a commandeered Israel Defense Forces vehicle with the words "resisting apartheid since 1948. In another, it said "breaking the walls of apartheid and military occupation October 7, as you can see with a bulldozer used by terrorists to breach the barrier between Gaza and Israel." There were so many other highly inflammatory and anti-Israel posts, and you alluded to this. Here was Mamdani's response when he was asked about it. Have a listen.
My wife is the love of my life, and she's also a private person who has held no formal position on my campaign or in my city hall. I, however, was elected to represent all 8.5 million people in this city, and I believe that it's my responsibility, because of that role, to answer any questions about my thoughts and my policies and my decisions.
Stella, how weak and pathetic is that? I mean, there are around 1 million Jews living in New York City, and he says, no, well, it's fine, it's got nothing to do with my wife. What do you make of this gaslighting?
First of all, she is the love of your life who basically supports terrorists. I mean, she's made that clear. She lives in the same household as you, so you guys don't share the same ideas. You do, because we've seen who he's filled in his administration, a bunch of anti-American, anti-Israel Jew haters. But what I will say is, WABC radio host Sid Rosenberg, who's a good friend of mine. I was just on his show a couple days ago when I was in New York City, and he was getting a lot of heat for basically calling out Mamdani and calling him an anti-American jihadi, and he used the word cockroach. Yeah, but he wasn't saying Muslims are cockroaches. He was basically calling Islamists that. He got so much heat, he had to apologize. Mamdani called him Islamophobic. Okay, so it's Islamophobia. Then I'm confused what Islamophobia is because now it's like calling out radical Islamists is Islamophobic. So this happens. Okay, so Sid Rosenberg is Islamophobic, but your wife is just a private person who is the first lady of New York City, by the way. She represents you. She may not have an official job in the administration. So then there's also, I don't know if you've heard about this story, Vicky Palladino. She is a New York City treasurer. She sits on city council. She's being now investigated by the ethics committee in New York City for also being Islamophobic, for also pointing out to radical Islam. And even Hassan Piker, you know who Hassan Piker is? He basically tweeted saying he is going to sue her for defamation after he live streamed saying, oh, hey, you know what? You don't need suicide bombers anymore. You could just buy suicide drones in places like Russia and China. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. There's so much hypocrisy. So with Mamdani, yes, that was a weak response. And I'm waiting to see what he's going to come out and say about the two terrorists who were just arrested. By the way, those two were arrested in addition, 4 more. So there were 6 people who have been arrested in total.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, I just think it's complete gaslighting, I think, and it's such a shame. But this is New York City under Zohran Mamdani. This is what you get what you pay for, don't you? You know what I mean?
Exactly. You know, I want to bring something up. When we talk about, so right now there's conversation happening online with people saying, we don't even trust the Mamdani administration to investigate this incident that just happened properly because his administration is so full of anti-Israel, anti-American people. He hired a lawyer. His name is Ramzi Kassem. He was hired by Mamdani. He's the New York City chief legal counsel. So he's basically charged with crafting, NYC legal policy. You know who this man is? This man defended an Al-Qaeda terrorist who was convicted of bombing a oil tanker off the coast of Yemen. He also defended Mahmoud Khalil. So these are the kind of people who are working in his administration. Do we trust him to do the right thing and investigate this properly? I don't think so. And, you even have very smart people in America who are saying, Mamdani, resign.
I mean, I'm not surprised. And it's just such a blight as well on the Jews, the good, hardworking Jews in the New York City. They didn't want this. They didn't want this.
No, I mean, they call New York Jew York. And so I can't even imagine what it's like. I have friends and family who live there, and I'm always like, head on a swivel, be careful, because you know what, Danica, when they say globalize the intifada, which by the way, Mamdani till this day has not condemned that phrase, they meant it. We always say that. Believe them when they say it.
Yeah, and we have seen what globalize the intifada does. I mean, we had a terrorist attack, Bondi Beach, here in Australia a couple of months ago. Mm-hmm. This is globalize the intifada playing out. It is dangerous and it's terrible. I really do feel for the Jews. I want to ask you, Stella, about Iran and particularly the Democrats. There's a group of progressives. They voted against a resolution declaring Iran the largest state sponsor of terror. No surprises, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar among the 53 to oppose this measure. The measure actually says Iran poses a direct and persistent threat to the United States and is responsible for the deaths of hundreds of American citizens. And, for the Dems to have adopted a, look, nothing to see here, no, it's fine sort of approach, they seem so supportive of this murderous regime. Why?
I mean, they pretend to be like they're for human rights. They stayed silent really when, the Hamas terror machine raped, massacred, and stole people. The IRGC brutally murdered, over 35,000 people. That's not a big deal. You would think that would be a big deal, right? I mean, the only difference between what happened in Gaza and what happened in Iran is that there are 90 million Iranians, and then you have millions more in the diaspora. You don't have as many Jews. So the Iranians and the supporters are not letting this one go. So you see videos, on social media, thanking Trump, thanking Bibi. But back to this administration, the squad. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? They hate America. They're pro-illegal immigration. They're pro-terror. President Trump exposed them at the State of the Union address when he basically said, hey, if you're, it was brilliant. If you're anti-illegal immigration, please stand up. And they just sat there. And then you saw Ilhan Omar rudely just scream at the president of the United States. I mean, she should be worried about, her state of Minnesota, where the Somalis were basically robbing us blind here, sending money to terrorists like Al-Shabaab. I mean, everything that they do should tell us who they are. I think the Democrat Party literally supports the IRGC. They support the United Nations. Those are the allies there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just not surprised at this point, because you're right. I mean, Ilhan Omar in particular has conducted herself like an absolute disgrace from day one. These people do not represent Americans. They represent their own biases, their own values, which are just so far removed from a Western liberal democracy. And it is such a blight that these are the people sitting in politics right now.
Right.
It baffles me.
And it's scary because the Democrat Socialists of America, DSA, it's growing. So what's happening is you're having this Democrat Party who's now going further and further left. And now you see the governor of California, Governor Gavin Newsom, all of a sudden he comes out and he's like, oh, Israel is an apartheid state. And I heard him say that. I'm like, wow, why is he saying that? And now I'm hearing that he might go on Hassan Piker's podcast. I'm like, oh, this makes total sense. He wants to run, which there's word for president 2028, and he's pandering for those votes. So the Democrat Party is no longer the Democrat Party that people know. Now you have to pander to this DSA, which is the left of the left. And it's very scary to see what's happening in the United States, and it's unfortunate.
Well, if Gavin Newsom's their best hope, all I can say is good luck to them. Because
Right.
There's not much going on up here. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Now, look, I've got to ask you about this because a memorial was held for the late Reverend Jesse Jackson. He rose to prominence alongside Martin Luther King Jr. during the Civil Rights Movement. And instead of mourning him, the Democrats turned this into a divisive political clown show. Here was Barack Obama.
We are living in a time when it can be hard to hope. Each day we're told by those in high office to fear each other and to turn on each other, and that some Americans count more than others, and that some don't even count at all. Everywhere we see greed and bigotry being celebrated, and bullying and mockery masquerading as strength. We see science and expertise denigrated, while ignorance and dishonesty and cruelty and corruption are reaping untold rewards every single day. We see that. And it's hard to hope.
My God, give it up. I mean, Bill Clinton, Joe Biden, they did the same. And Stella, it was so embarrassing. Have a listen to Jesse Jackson's son. This is Jesse Jackson Jr. He lashed out at the politicization.
I listened for several hours of 3 United States presidents who do not know Jesse Jackson.
Stella, Obama and co, they politicised a memorial for their own agenda, their own Trump derangement syndrome on full display. How disrespectful to do this at an event, mourning an American icon.
Yeah, but it's on par. They'll take an opportunity whenever they can. Kamala Harris, I think she showed up and she was speaking in a different accent as well, because this is what she does. When she was on the political campaign, all of a sudden, she's in the South, she has a Southern accent. But I'm so happy that you aired that sound with the son, because the family came out right after Jesse Jackson passed away. And this same son said, I just don't want this to be about politics when we go to the funeral. So he kind of put people on notice. And then afterwards, he said that. So I'm really happy that you mentioned it, because guess what? The story got buried in the mainstream media. A shocker. This story got buried in the mainstream media. But yes, very disrespectful. And this is what they do. They found the stage and they thought this was the right audience at the right time. And they went for it.
Yep, they always hijack things for their own political gain. They're a bunch of idiots, seriously. And we've got to talk about Kamala Harris because you mentioned the phony accents. We've actually got it to play for our viewers. Here she was, putting it on as she always does. Have a listen.
Let me just say, I predicted a lot about what's happening right now. I'm not into saying I told you so, but we did see it coming.
Oh, seriously, she is so cringe. And this one comes with a trigger warning to our viewers because she's back again with the same old word salads. Look at this.
Understand, as has been said, the beauty that comes after the storm when we see what is possible and what can be unburdened by what has been. As he once said, when a barrier falls for one of the locked out, it opens the doors for all. And that is what he told me, and what he taught me, and how he inspired me.
Oh no, Stella, unburdened by what has been. It's back. It's back. She's brought it back.
She brought it back. I think she wants to go viral. I'm like, what did she, do you know what she said? Because I have no idea.
No, I've got no clue. No.
I have no idea. But again, I told you when she was on the campaign trail, I think she was in 2024 at a Labor Day speech in Detroit. She made she had a different accent. In Atlanta, she had a different accent. She flip-flops when needed. But what's interesting though is, she really, up until, the Democrat Party told her that she had to really embrace the Black side of her, she became Black. But really, she's Indian. Right? She was raised by an Indian mother. That is like her whole heritage. And there's videos of her being like, I'm Indian. I'm like really being proud about her Indian culture, which is great. But then the Democrat Party was like, all right, we're going to pivot here. You're now going to be Black. And so, I just find it interesting because you could be whoever you are, like be who you are, but be authentic and be real. And constantly having these different accents and then saying you're this and then saying you're that. It's like it's playing up to your audience and there's nothing authentic about it.
No, nothing authentic about it. And I say good luck. If the Democrats are going to make her run, fantastic, please.
Yes,
please. Do us all a favor.
Thank
Do
you.
Donald Trump
Yes.
a favor. Exactly. We can't wait to be burdened by what has been once again. Now, before we let you go, we've got to talk about Joe Biden. After seeing this clip, and I mean, there's been some clips of him lately, but I just think to myself, why is he still being allowed to make public appearances? Have a look at this.
If I told you all earlier when I was a kid I had a cleft palate or a club foot, none of you would have laughed. But it's okay to laugh at stuttering. I'm not being critical of you, but think about it. It's the one place where people think you're stupid. Oh, really? I'm a hell of a lot smarter than most of you. But all kidding aside.
Oh, look, Stella, seriously, get him off the stage, please. It's now at the point where it's beyond elder abuse. They need to tell him to stand down and to stop speaking.
I have to tell you, it's really sad. I've been in media and American media here, for over 20 years. And the gaslighting was so real. Like, you're not actually seeing what you're seeing. Don't believe your lying eyes. When we started talking about it and saying like, hey, is there something wrong with him? Like, he can't even walk up the stairs, or he's riding a bike and he's falling. And we were all told and gaslit by the mainstream media, like, oh my God, you guys are horrible people. You guys are horrible people. And, signing bills, like I know when Trump came into office, he has a picture of Biden, which is the auto pen in the administration there. But really, honestly, this comes down to elder abuse, and it's just really sad. That's what if that was my grandfather, like I would say, like, I think it's enough. It's not funny. These videos go viral. Take care of this man. Like, give him some respect at this point. Really, it's just sad. I have to, from a human perspective, and I'm looking at this, if this was my father, my grandfather, I'd be like, don't do this to him anymore.
No, I'm with you. And the sad part is Jill Biden. She's probably at the bottom of the stairs, going, "Well done, you did so well." And I think that she's a massive part. Yeah, you did it. Yeah. Exactly. Stella Escobedo, it has been absolutely wonderful having you on the program. Thank you so much for your time and your insights. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.